Hi, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to do something different. I want to read a little bit of my book, The Sex Dare. It is the Love Month and it is on sale for just $10 this month. So I want to give you a little peek into what's in it while I talk about this subject to schedule or not to schedule. That's the question. You're like, what kind of question is that? Well, let me tell you. There may be some times that you need to schedule. Stay with me. Stay with me. Okay. Life is chaotic and moves at a fast pace. When you were dating, you carved out the time to spend with that special someone. Now that you're married, you have all the responsibilities of life filling the majority of your time. It is so important to keep the fire lit in your relationship so that the marriage continues to get stronger. Strong Marriage Live podcast, okay? Growing together can be difficult at times and rewarding in other instances. The key to managing life's responsibilities and nurturing your relationship is simple: intentionally carving out time for your mate. It can be a constant struggle to be ready when a moment or two suddenly becomes available. So keep the sex hot in your marriage by scheduling it. Yes, you heard me right. Yes, 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 you heard me right. Scheduling it. So your day has a schedule to it, whether you recognize it or not. You have a scheduled time to work, to go to school, to eat, to sleep, to take a nap, to work out, to pray, all that. Review your schedule to determine which days you have more free time, meaning more energy, and which days or hours require more out of you. Now, I'm not going to keep you long because in this month of love, the month of February, I want you to be doing some things with your spouse, right? For those of you who are just dating, you are going to work on a deeper connection, your emotional intimacy, so that when you do cross over on the altar and say, I do, you'll be ready for the physical intimacy. But here at the Strong Marriage Live podcast, you know that the only people that are supposed to be having sex are married couples. Yes, a husband and his own wife. Right. A wife and her own husband, not someone else's. So let me give you a little example. In I don't know exactly what year, but basically it was a lot of years when we had young children. Our plan was to have our children right out the gate, so that when we were in our older years, because when you're 20, you think 50 is old. So in our older years, we would, be able to do whatever we wanted to do. We would have more money. We would have more time, and we would do whatever we want to do. Travel, mission trips, whatever. So that was our plan. So of course, I got married at 20. We had our first kid at 20. And, so from 20 till, gosh, what? 40? Yeah. For about 20 to 40, all those years of marriage. So for about 20 years of our marriage, we had to schedule. You're shocked. I know you're shocked. But yes, we had to schedule because, like I said, your life has a schedule, whether you realize it or not. And you have responsibilities. Someone has to get up and take those kids to school. Someone has to help those kids with their homework. We chose to make sure our kids were busy with either church or sports. They had a little bit of time on the weekend to get with friends or whatever, but we kept our kids busy on purpose. If you're busy at church, or you're busy on a football field, or the girls did cheerleading, The girls did track and volleyball. If you were busy doing that, you had no time to do things you weren't supposed to do. And you learned the value of teamwork, you learned work ethic, and all that good stuff. So it was a lot of times where we seriously had to look like, okay, let me look, because back in the day you had a paper schedule. It definitely wasn't this small either. It was really big, and you would look on there, and you would see, on Fridays, it's crazy because we have football games and cheerleading competitions. Saturday is out of the picture because we're doing cheerleading competitions or track meets. And Sunday's out of picture because that's our day of rest, and we're going to church. We're going to be at church all day. And, that's the thing. So when do we have time to be intimate? When do we have time to work on being a husband and a wife? Well, we had to schedule it. We had to make that time. We had to make sure that we had time for one another. So what you need to do is, get your calendar out. This was funny because I love photos, so I love Shutterfly. So if I needed a calendar, I would go to Shutterfly. I would have all our pictures in it, everybody's birthday, and we would hang it up. But then the kids started noticing there's a red S drawn on certain days. And that was our day. We knew on this day, it's about to go down. It's about to get frisky. It's about to be the night. So it wasn't like, doggone it, we scheduled it. We were excited. We were like, oh my goodness, it's the day. So the day before, I made sure I did like extra chores to make sure I didn't have anything left out, because I wanted to make sure I was fresh. I wanted to look my best that day. Because when I had small children, I did not work. So it's like I would be in the house looking crazy, still in pajamas, hair busted up, no lipstick and earrings on. It's just wake up and you going, because you're a mom, you're doing these things all day and whatever. But I made sure on that day I was looking good, smelling good, feeling good. I had made confessions to make sure that I was like in the right headspace, because for women, if we're not in the right headspace, if we're worried about the mess in the house, or the kid didn't do this, or somebody's homework is missing, or bill isn't paid, all that stuff, then we can get like, no, I'm not in the mood because I'm thinking about all that. But I would make sure that I was in the right headspace. I made sure that my body was physically together. I made sure that my emotions were ready to go, because I would make sure that I would think about the last time we engaged with one another, how good it was, how good it's going to be. And then I would think about, how can I make this night even special? Maybe they can have a play date today, and a close friend, because I don't let my kids go to anybody's house, because whatever spirit is in there is going to be getting on my kid. So a close friend, hey, could you take the kids to the park, for 2 hours? Could you, can they do homework with your kids for 2 hours? Can, something like that. We would set up something so that they would, not be in our hair. Or maybe, because like sometimes we were like, hey, we didn't have someone to devote that 2-hour span to. So it was like on Sundays, we started realizing, hey, we're missing this great opportunity on Sunday. So we had mandatory naps on Sunday. We would go to church, and this is when we only had 2 church services, because at one point I was at a church, shout out to Evangel World Prayer Center in Louisville, Kentucky. And I was the choir director and on the praise team. Therefore, I was at church 4 times because we had 4 services. And because I was on the praise team, I had to be at every service. That means if that I would get the kids up. We had one car then. It wasn't no two cars. No, it was one car. So everybody would have to get up and we would have to be there for the 8 a.m. service and I would sing. And then after that service, we would go to the 10:30 service. I would sing and actually listen to the word. And then um, oh no, I'll take it back. I would listen to the word at the 8 o'clock service. And then I would sing at the 10 o'clock service. And then I would rush over to do the, I think it was 11:30 or something like that service at another location because we were one church, two locations. And so then I would go to 11 o'clock and do that. And then have a break and then go back for the evening service at 5. But when I moved to, shout out to Fountain of Faith Christian Center in Louisville, Kentucky, with my friends and former pastors, Pastors James and Carmen Byers. When I got to their church and was the minister of music, we only had 2 services. So we were able to go to church at like 10:30 in the morning, and then we'd come home and the kids heard a new phrase that we just loved dearly: mandatory nap. Yes, mandatory nap. That became our friend. So we had at least 2 S's on the calendar because Sunday we didn't have anybody to watch the kids, but they were going to be asleep. And what better way to have some good restful sleep after you and your spouse have just had a great time in the sack? Yes. So the kids would go to sleep. We would enjoy ourselves and then fall asleep. And then, hey, it's time to get up and get ready again for evening service. Sunday is a beautiful day. So the kids, even now that they're grown, our youngest child is 22. She's about to turn 23 in a couple weeks at the time of this recording. And our oldest child is 30. He's going to turn 32 in April. And to this day, they talk about mandatory naps. Man, they made us go to sleep. Yes, we did. So if they watch this episode, they'll know why. Well, you needed a nap anyway, so that you'd be fresh when you go to church and not cranky. Okay? Because we spank our kids. And if you're going to get cranky at church, you're going to get a spanking. So look, I saved you. So yes, scheduling is not a bad thing. Scheduling can be a good thing to make sure that you are intentional about giving of yourself to your spouse. You want to keep that sexual connection. You want to keep that, the very thing that is the glue. I heard a pastor say that sex is like the bonding glue. And it's some truth to that. The body, God created this body to release certain chemicals. I know oxytocin is one of them. But they're chemicals to bond you, to make you feel closer, to make you feel good, to make you feel like, you're on a high. There's no feeling like an orgasm. And that orgasm hits different when it's holy and it's with your spouse. It is just wonderful. And as saints, we should be having the best sex on this planet. So I didn't want to take up a lot of time, but I did want to remind you 2 things. My book's on sale. The book's on sale all this month for $10 on Amazon only. If you go to my website, it's still going to be $15. But on Amazon, this entire month of February, it's on sale for $10. And also, I wanted to remind you that scheduling sex is not boring, or it doesn't put a damper on your activities, but it makes sure that when you can't have those impromptu love sessions like you used to, that there is still that sexual connection in your relationship. Don't think of it as weird or as a hassle. Remember, when you were dating and didn't live together, you planned dates all the time. It's the same thing Scheduling dates and lovemaking sessions is exciting and could possibly be the aphrodisiac that you need to add some spice to your bedroom. And let me tell you, it does, because now you are making sure, I mean, it makes you, when you see that S approaching on your calendar, you're thinking like, ooh, how can I make this special? How can I do this? What can I do? What, you're preparing, and both of you are aware that you are placing each other as the priority, because you are making these decisions, you are making these choices to make sure that this time together, your time that you set aside, is fire. Okay. Maybe you are not an empty nest couple, well, we're not empty nest couples anymore. Our youngest daughter graduated with her bachelor's, but she is pursuing another degree. So she's back home with us. So we're no longer empty nesters either. But she does go out like almost every weekend. So the weekend is on and popping up in here. But what was I going to say? Maybe you are not an empty nest couple like us, or your responsibilities do not take up most of your time and energy. Scheduling may or may not work for you. I'm not saying that you have to do it. Maybe you have time for those impromptu lovemaking sessions. It's intoxicating and it is super sexy. Go for it. Go for it. So, if you can make this a habit, a schedule isn't needed. So say like, every Wednesday, we basically, both of us are free. That should be like, oh, I said Wednesday, hump day. You know what I'm saying? You should just know that's your hump day. But I do not want you to just like have sex just like once a week. Because think about it. Okay. I'm an accountant. It is February, it's tax season. So if you actually do the math, let's get out a calculator. Let's do the math together. Okay. So if you have sex once a week, we have 52 weeks. That's 52 times. Let's divide that by the days. Your percentage is 14%. If we want to give our sex life a report card, that's not good. So what if we say twice a week? 2 times 52 is 104 divided by 365. What is that? That's 28.5%. That's a little bit better, but that's still a fail, right? Let's say 3 times a week. Let's divide it. Okay. We're at 42. So 42.8, 43% better, but that's still an F. 4 times a week is 57% better. Let's just for kicks. What's 5 times a week? 71%. I mean, you get it in. Now, I'm not saying that's what you're supposed to be doing, because I know that's a little silly percentage or whatever. And I just want you to think about how intentional you are. There is a such thing as sexual frequency. What does that mean? What is that, Tanisha? It's how often you engage. So your body and your schedule will let you know what your frequency should be. And this should be a conversation that you and your spouse have. So also in that frequency, well, one of the pieces to determining your frequency will be, I don't know what you call it, how long you can last. So for us, we can last for 2 weeks and not like feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to rip your clothes off right now if I don't have you. So 2 weeks. So we know if each of us are like clawing on each other, you're like, man, it's been 2 weeks, right? Let's get in here and knock this out. But your frequency, you don't want that to be your frequency. That's like your limit. Okay. So how about, how many times in a week, so like I was doing with the numbers or whatever, And your schedule, your energy, and your body. Because sometimes at some points in your life, your body's not going to want all that every day. Some people can do every day. Some people like every other day. What is your body saying? Because the cookie will talk to you and let you know what you can do. That's a lot of friction. So you would have to, say, you know what? When we went every day, she didn't feel good. So let's not do every day. Maybe every other day. Maybe we'll try 3 times a week. But you come up with your frequency, and then you can have a schedule if you need it or not. But the whole point of this video was not to be long, but to just make you conscious of the fact that it is A1 okay to schedule sex. So to schedule or not to schedule depends on your schedule. Okay? Happy Love Month. I hope you have a great one.